Jimmy on the beat, boy. Jimmy on the beat, boy. Jimmy on the beat, boy.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Double Coverage, the premier NFL podcast of the Gin Sports Network. So happy to have you with us tonight. I'm John J. II here with Musa Basal. Musa, how are we doing today, man?
Pretty good. It's been rainy. It's been 50s. I got the rain jacket on today. So interesting weather, to say the least, for some early February weather.
Yeah, it's Michigan weather. We talk about it on the show all the time. You never know what you're going to get here in Michigan, and that's definitely the case for this beautiful February 9th weather. It's rainy. It's almost 50 degrees. Maybe the groundhog saw his shadow, and I didn't even read about it, but that could be the case. And spring's here early. But either way, we got the Super Bowl coming up. We got a lot of big stuff to talk about. There's a lot happening in the world of sports, not just NFL, but the trade wire is going crazy in the NBA as well. So we'll probably not talk about that on here, but we will talk about that in subsequent shows. We're looking forward to talking about all that stuff here. I see Dobbs is in the chat. Thank you, Dobbs, for tuning in. And I'm glad to hear the broadcast and the sound looks and sounds great. That's great to hear from the back end. So I hope this can be a great show for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're tuning in live or tuning in later on. We got a great show in store for you. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the Broncos' new hire for head coach Sean Payton. Can't say we didn't see it coming. I did see it coming. Obviously, Nathaniel Hackett wasn't it. And that people were saying that for a long time. And I think it was a long time coming for them to get rid of him and kind of send him packing. But, Musa, let me ask you this. What do you think about the Sean Payton hire, and how do you think that is going to affect the Denver Broncos going forward?
I love the hire. He's a Hall of Fame head coach. He took over the Saints team when they weren't really a great team. They weren't a Super Bowl team, and he turned them into a Super Bowl team. We know he can do it. He has experience. He is a Hall of Fame coach. And I think it's good for the players, and he has that credibility behind him. People know his style works. They know his coaching works. They know his culture works. So from talking to some of the players who are open to change and who actually want to win, they seem to be open to like him being stricter on players and really turning the ship around because that's what this team really needs. And I think they kept on to Nathaniel Hackett for way too long. I think he should have been fired so long ago. But hey, they made the right. I think they made the right choice in the coach they chose.
Yeah, they had to make the call, whether it was sooner or later. They made the call and they made the hiring. And I think Sean Payton is going to be happy where he ends up here with the Denver Broncos, with the veteran quarterback in Russell Wilson. Hopefully, he needs a comeback season. I mean, he needs a redemption season if he wants to remain a relevant figure in the NFL. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. Tom Brady's gone, and the door is wide open for him.
For how
Go
long?
ahead.
How long is Tom Brady gone really for? I mean, let's be honest here. But like,
I don't know.
This Broncos team. I mean, the weakness is the offense. The defense is a great defense. I mean, they are holding these teams to like 9, 12 points. Like these games this last year they lost are really close games, even though the offense can't do crap. They're making other offenses not be able to do anything. So as long as they get their offense figured out, I think this team in a year or two will be at a Super Bowl contending team. I don't know if it's going to happen in 1 year because I feel like they have some gaps. They need some receivers. They need some new players on offense, but it's a good start.
Definitely. Got a comment here from Uncle John Sabatini. Hey, boys, greetings. So is this Russ's team or Peyton's team? Moose, I'll let you take that one off, then I'll share some statistics on Sean Payton.
10,000% Peyton's team. You saw how it was with Russ. Russ, he's a good QB. He can't lead a team. He's no Tom Brady.
Yeah, I think that's well said.
We proved that, and we saw in Seattle. I mean, they kept a leash on him. He wanted to cook. They let him cook in Denver. Not so good. So it's definitely Peyton's team, and already coming in and putting on this strict rule on these players shows that it's Peyton's team.
Well, this just goes to show, you look at Pete Carroll, what he could do over there in Seattle. He commanded the team. He was a very dominant coach when it comes to, direction with what to do, with where to put different players, whether to play or start players and bench some other ones. He had that direction. Nathaniel Hackett was kind of like the blind leading the blind in a certain regard. And Russ proved to us by him having his hand held for so many years in Seattle and then being let go, essentially, in Denver, it only worked to his demise and the entire team. And like I said, a lot of this blame, maybe it's not entirely warranted for Russell Wilson specifically and only, but a lot of that blame is going to fall on his shoulders whether he likes it or not. So that's just the reality of the situation.
And let's be honest here. The Denver Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett because they wanted Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers speaks so highly of Nathaniel Hackett, and he said he didn't want to leave Green Bay unless he's going with Nathaniel Hackett. That's the only reason they hired Nathaniel Hackett, is to get Aaron Rodgers, and they did not get Aaron Rodgers. Would this be a different story if he had Aaron Rodgers? I think so, but he didn't. He got Russ, and they weren't compatible.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. So just a couple statistics here on Sean Payton. 24 total years coach. Overall record, 222 and 162 with one tie in there. A 57.8% win percentage. 11-11 playoff record with a 50% win ratio. And it gives parents and it gives children. So we're not talking about biological parents and children here. We're talking about parents being mentors and children being mentees. So people that Sean Payton mentored. Parents, Jim Fassel, Bill Parcells, and Ray Rhodes. Couple big names there. And then children, Dennis Allen, Dan Campbell, Mark Trestman, and Doug Maroney. So, I mean, there's a special name in there that I think resonates in both of our minds, and that's Dan Campbell as being a prodigy of Sean Payton. I guess with that being said, what can we expect to see as, Sean Payton, he's dealing with a different team here in Denver. They're hurting. They're down bad, and they need a redemption year. What does he have to do to ensure that they have that this coming year?
I mean, I think he's already off to a great start with tightening down on the players and everything. I think they need a pretty decent draft this year. I'm going to compare them to the Lions. Dan Campbell took over the Lions when they were in a lot worse of a situation than the Denver Broncos are currently. And look what he did in a matter of, 1 year? Well, this is his second year, so in 2 years. So I think you can expect the Denver Broncos to be where the Lions are currently this year, and then the year after that with a little more draft capital, a little more players, and a little more trading and getting their team to figure it out, be one of those Super Bowl contending teams. So I'm going to put on it like a 2-year stamp. So this next year they should be around a winning record, and then the year after that they should be contending for the playoffs and a Super Bowl.
Definitely. We'll see how that timeline plays out. I think it's a very realistic timeline to give a veteran coach like Sean Payton coming in. Maybe he hasn't coached for a couple years. So what? He can pick it back up. It's like riding a bike, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, I can see Denver really turning the entire tide just with him being at the helm there. So I
Yeah, I
think his
mean,
mentality will resonate.
obviously there's a physical aspect to coaching. Like you got to be like in decent shape. You got to be up for the task, up for the pressure. But like playing the game, taking a year or two, a few years off football and coming back is a lot more difficult than coaching. Like coaching, you're giving the plays, you're calling it. Once a genius, you're always a genius.
Right. Exactly. Let's move on. Let's talk about the breaking news that we have to tell you guys. This is only an hour old. 10 players sue the NFL in a disability benefit claim. Roger Goodell is up in arms. There's papers flying all over the offices over there in the NFL offices in the main HQ. It's mayhem. It's pandemonium. Musa, can you shed some light on this and kind of, just tell the people what they can expect to see more of here in the coming days?
I mean, obviously, it's very new news. We don't know all the details, but all we know is players are trying to claim some disability benefits that they were suffered injuries while playing, and they had to go to these doctors, and they kept getting denied and denied, and they finally got approved, but then applied for permanent disability, and they got denied. So, I mean, it's just a really case of the courts are going to look at it. Were they actually eligible for these benefits, or were they not? Now, obviously, some people are going to think, "Oh, I'm eligible for these benefits," when truly they aren't, and that's what Roger Goodell is saying. He's saying this is managed by a different team. There's a whole team behind this, lawyers, a union behind that who decide if you're eligible or not, and they don't want to just obviously they don't want to give it to someone who's not eligible because it takes away from people who are actually eligible. So, honestly, I don't know enough about this to say who's in the right or who's in the wrong. But if it comes out these players were indeed eligible, it's a bad look on the NFL because like these are players that you claim that you care about. You want to protect their safety. You want to protect against head injuries, and these players are claiming some of these injuries, and you aren't paying them the benefits they deserve if they truly do deserve it. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
Yeah, there's fine print basically. When you join the NFL, when you're drafted, you are obviously wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. I'm sure that, that is the case. And we see it in draft day. We see it. So they're wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. Whenever they get to the point where they're at the table where they're signing the forms that are required, they're basically like, let me get through these forms. I'm probably not reading these forms, and I'm not present with legal counsel to be able to read these forms. Just put me on the team, give me a uniform, give me a locker, and I'm good. Let me know when the first lift is. Right, so they're not really thinking about that. It's going to come down to a paper trail. This is too fresh to see who's in the right or who's in the wrong here. There's certain guarantees that the NFL probably makes because, as we know, there's players and a lot of these things weren't in place back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and we've seen those players, those previous players, are old enough now where we can really see the lasting effects of some of these guys, what they've had to go through and what they currently live with. As far as their health conditions go. So we're going to see the paper trail come out. Someone's going to be in the right, someone's going to be in the wrong, and there's going to be a happy party and an unhappy party. I think that's just how it is.
I don't think either party is going to be happy. Like, from what I have now, some of this looks bad for the NFL. Suffered over 13 documented traumatic brain injuries. But then some of these are like, he had some shoulder range motion, like decreased range of motion, rotator cuff weakness, and moderate to severe shoulder arthritis. I think that's some normal side effects from playing football. I don't know if those really qualify for these giant claims that you're trying to get. But then, like, if they're the one with like 13 traumatic brain injuries, and like if he's actually like suffering every day from that, then yeah, he deserves some claims. So it's like I feel like every side is very like extreme, and we need them like the middle. We need to know what truly injuries are suffering and what is actually going on. Because some mild arthritis, some mild decreased range of motion in your shoulder isn't the end of the world. I mean, I have a separated shoulder from playing football, and I'm getting that dealt with physical therapy. It happens. You put your body through a lot, and that's kind of expected. But like, if you can't function properly because your brain is messed up, you deserve benefits. And it's like, It's just right now a he said, she said situation. We don't know whose full truth is out there.
Well, Musa, you know how much I love a he said, she said situation. But in this case, I think the only, and kind of alluding to it, your point you just made, the major neurological claims, right? The things that are going to be having lasting effects well beyond your years as an athlete. Those are things that should be filed as claims, and they should be taken as claims on a claim by claim basis, right? So that's just something that's going to have to take place and going to have to go through the paper trail to really see that. Got a comment from Dobbs. How do these players not have really good insurance? I'm sure they do have really good
Yeah,
insurance, but and I'm sure they have certain premiums that are
here's the thing:
subsidized from the NFL, right?
we live in the U.S. Medical expenses in the U.S. are crazy, no matter what insurance you have. Just it's and like if you actually are eligible for these benefits, even if you have good insurance, why do you want to pay insurance for something that you could be getting covered for and getting benefits for? So like I get it if they're actually eligible for these benefits, but like if they're not, they're not.
Yeah, and I think the insurance should be able to cover a lot of the main stuff, but the stuff that maybe didn't was misdiagnosed or not handled properly, like a CTE issue or an incident where maybe a head injury happened, but the right protocols weren't taken by the NFL, then I think you might have something there.
So
Uh,
yeah,
but it's got to be a case
just
by case.
so like Eric Smith, he reapplied for the benefits in 2015 after being seen by a physician who was paid $34,000 and found 20 LED impairments among players. That's no chump change. And then there's also another one saying physicians were some paid over $1 million. Now, who's paying? Like, it's not clear who's paying these $1 million. Like, are the players paying $1 to get seen? Is the insurance paying $1 million, or is the NFL paying these physicians these millions of dollars to see these players? I don't know. It's not very clear in this article.
It's too vague right now. Not enough information. But I mean, you think within light of all of the CTE hype going on, with the Tua Tagovailoa things and even Matthew Stafford, big names getting some CTE injuries, you'd think that this would come to light, and then especially the Damar Hamlin issue with the cardiac arrest on the field. I mean, that brings up a bunch of issues, a bunch of questions for the NFL to answer as far as what am I covered for if say I sacrifice my life and I die on that field, what does my family qualify for? Because there's certain things that you have to be able to depend on the league for, if certain things happen.
But right now, I think this lawsuit's really with after you're retired, like years later, years down the line, what you suffered from playing the sport.
Yeah, and that's what should be taken into consideration. Once they've gone and left the league, if they do have a recurring issue that seems to not be covered, because I'm sure these guys have lifelong insurance with the NFL, retired or not, and we need more information on this.
Yeah. I mean, in this article, it says the NFL provides over $330 million annually to deserving players and their families. So, like, the NFL has the fund for it. They have the funds in place. So, if they do qualify, I don't see why they wouldn't give them to it. That's where I'm kind of like stuck. Like, if they truly do qualify, I feel like the NFL has no problem paying these players the money they deserve. But I'm assuming they might actually not.
Yeah, well, it could be, what it could be too? It could be a money grab. And if someone sees, it's kind of like the cancel culture that we live in right now. So if you see somebody under fire, if you see somebody taking a lot of heat for something and you happen to have the same situation or similar, maybe not as severe as certain people, but it regards the same people and involves the same individuals, then you could be a money grab situation where these players and these athletes could be running into some hot water.
It's
So
just
we just
recently
don't know
with
yet.
like Joe Mixon. Someone claimed that he pointed a gun at her. Someone claimed that Joe Mixon was pointing a gun at her or whatever. But like it turned out to be fake. He didn't get charged. He didn't get arrested. Like there was a warrant for his arrest, but he didn't get charged or anything. So it just seemed like a money grab. And like it happens all the time, especially when there's this much money involved.
Yeah, definitely. Got another comment here from Dobbs. Applying for disability must give them something that the insurance doesn't. Musa, what do you have to say about that?
I mean, it does. I mean, if you get like this permanent disability, that thing like he's like trying to actually apply for, that is money probably every month that he gets paid a certain amount every year, like for the rest of his life, if he actually gets permanent disabilities. Like, I mean, it's a long time thing. It's like it's for the rest of their life, and he gets the permanent disability thing that he was applying for because he got like a temporarily one after paying the $34,000 to that one position, but then he applied for a permanent one and he didn't get it. So that maybe he has temporary things that could be solved and treated, and he doesn't need permanent disability, but he doesn't know that. I don't know. We really need more information.
Yeah, I think we're going to wait for more information before we comment any further on this. Let's move on to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is here, ladies and gentlemen. It is here.
It is.
And
Comes fast.
some people might say it's a lackluster Super Bowl. I would somewhat agree to that. We just had an article come out on the GSN website from our editorial staff kind of claiming to that and giving some different accolades to both the Chiefs and the Eagles. Both Jalen Hurts and Patty Mahomes are very high on the probability list to receive two of major awards, the MVP award and the AP Offensive Player of the Year award. I guess real quick at face value, we'll jump into a conversation here shortly, but what do you think about this Super Bowl at face value, Musa, and do you think anybody has an edge?
I've heard a lot of people are riding with the Eagles about like, I can't go against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's a different kind of human. I mean, lackluster Super Bowl, but with Mahomes in any Super Bowl, he's doing some crazy, stupid throws that you'd never see. Flying midair sideways, throwing a ball to Tyreek Hill, him catching. It's like, it's Mahomes. I don't think it can be a boring Super Bowl with Mahomes in it. And I think the Chiefs have the edge. I'm going with the Chiefs here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why. I think it just goes back to last year's game against the Bills in the AFC Championship where it came down to a coin toss between the Bills and the Chiefs at Arrowhead. And I just had a sour taste in my mouth with how that game went. So I will always have a sour taste towards the Chiefs. And I don't think it's warranted. I don't think it's really deserving for the Chiefs to have that. Patty Mahomes, we alluded to this in the article as well, completely unorthodox as far as his playing style. His crazy throws, his ability to run, regardless of his inability to look and appear to be athletic and light on his feet. He doesn't look athletic, ladies and gentlemen, but he proves it. He shows it. He still runs. He still gets first downs and even touchdowns with his feet. So, and he has the experience. The Chiefs have the experience in the Super Bowl.
That's the biggest thing going with them. They have the recent year experience. Like, he's been there or right outside of it for since he started playing for the Chiefs. The last few years, he's always been there. Can't say the same about the Eagles. They recently had a Super Bowl win, but that was with Andy Reid, and Andy Reid is now coaching for the Chiefs.
Yeah, we all know too. Big Dick Nick Foles was a huge component to that win for the Super Bowl for the Eagles back in 2018. So Nick Foles is no longer there. They have a new regime. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm pulling for the birds here. And I tweeted about it last night. I couldn't believe it. I almost couldn't stomach the fact that I was typing "Go Birds" in a tweet. But because I'm not an Eagles fan either, very far from it. I try to stay away from the Eagles, stay away from the Cowboys, and stay away from the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs, I wouldn't put them on my shit list, but I'm going to say this. They're not on my top tier list as far as teams that I really care about. So, I mean, it's a personal thing, subjective completely. Yeah. But I'm entitled to my opinion, and I think there's a degree of truth to my opinion. You can disagree with that if you want, but I mean, there's right opinions, there's wrong opinions.
I don't know why. I just don't like the Eagles. I don't think they have what it takes. Like, I haven't been convinced by them this year, but I haven't watched them all that much. They're undefeated. I'm still not convinced. I don't know what it is. I just don't believe they have what it takes. There's just something inside of me that's just like the Eagles can't do it. I mean, it's the Eagles. I mean, this is a team that had, I guess maybe part of it, this is a team that had Carson Wentz on it a few years ago.
Yeah, but they've came a long way from Carson Wentz.
They have come a long way from Carson Wentz, but like, maybe I just need to go back and watch some of these Eagles games, but I just can't go against Patrick Mahomes and the experience he's had in recent years.
And that's understandable. I got to go back to an early podcast, probably one of the first ones of the year. It could have been the week after the Lions-Eagles game in the opener, or it might have been the week before that or after that. I don't know. It was back in the day. It was a while ago. But we talked about the Eagles very specifically. Maybe we'll resurrect a clip here and post it on YouTube, post it on TikTok for you guys, talking about the Eagles. Do they have the chance to make the playoffs. Obviously, they have Jalen Hurts, they have A.J. Brown, and, Devontae Smith. I mean, the dynamic duos here, I would say between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, and looking at the histories that both of these, two duos have, both of them include Jalen Hurts, obviously, from Pinnacle's standpoint. But, I mean, we gave them high hopes. We said, yes, if they play well, if they do what everybody expects them to do, they will make the playoffs. We didn't speak anything about the Super Bowl. We just talked about making it to the playoffs. But we had high hopes for the Eagles early on. I mean, this is not a joke.
But I think they lost. The first loss was to the Commanders, and we were like, "Whoa, let's take a step back here." Like, are they? That's when we kind of started to doubt the Eagles a little bit. Like, they lost to a Commanders team that was really bad at that point in time, and we're like, "Are they really legit?" Because I think I've always had some sort of doubt. I felt like they were a little bit like faking it. They were fooling people. They had like a disguise on. But I mean, they've proved me wrong. They're here in the Super Bowl, so I don't think I've had full faith in them to make the Super Bowl. Obviously, I think we thought they would obviously make the playoffs. Like, you don't dominate that much, even if you get some losses to some bad teams, you're going to make the playoffs. Like, Super Bowl, I did not expect it.
This is also something I didn't expect, though. December 18th. Let's go back in history a little bit. Chiefs, Texans, at Texans. Chiefs win it 30-24 in overtime. I mean, should that have ever went to overtime, or what?
I mean, no, but like it happens.
It happens, but the point I'm trying to make is good teams will lose to bad teams over the course of a season.
Yeah.
But does that determine their end game? I think at this point, once you've made it to this level, to this point in the season, you're putting all that behind you. It's obviously not where you came from; it's where you end up. It's the perfect example of that. How are you able to handle the pressure, one, and how are you, two, able to utilize your tools to outplay your opponent, both on offense and on defense? We know they have offensive weapons. Both of them do.
I think part of it goes back to the Chiefs have been so dominant the last few years, but the Eagles haven't been. So, like, them coming out of, like, almost nowhere and, like, dominating was just, like, a little surprise. Like, will it actually last? Like, is this actually sustainable? Is this the true Eagles? Because we've seen teams come out of nowhere, flying hot out the season, and doing so well, and then they become bad. They barely make the playoffs. They don't make the playoffs. It's not unheard of, especially when the team isn't true and tested, like from the last years, and have had the results to back them up.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of truth to that. I guess let's look at the game. Let's look at the game that we have to talk about. Do you have a spread for me? I don't expect you to have a spread for me, but I'm trying to pull it up right now. It keeps fluctuating. It's been moving a lot all week. It was 4.5 at one point, then it went to 5.5, and then it's it could be 3.5 for all I know right now. So let's just dive into it, and I'll check it out here. We'll get it here momentarily, and so we're looking at it at face value. It is now at 1.5. So it is. The Eagles favored by 1.5, money line minus 125, and plus 105 for the Chiefs, the experienced Chiefs. What do you think? I mean, both teams sit there at 14-3. A lot of accolades. You can go. I'll reference a link to the GSN article. It has all the stats on both the quarterbacks for the 2022-23 season, and completely barring any of the awards that will be given out tonight at 9 p.m. I guess. What gives in the bookie's mind, if you can tap into the bookie's mindset at all, what gives the Eagles the edge in their mind?
I think it's the people are behind the Eagles. I think a lot of people think the Eagles will win, so the bookies are with that mindset. I think because a lot of people, I mean, from what I've seen a lot of people riding with the Eagles, and I think it's just my disbelief for the Eagles being here is kind of clouding my judgment here, but I think a lot of people see this Eagles team for what they are and actually are a good team. They're made it here, and they're riding with them and they believe in them. So I think a lot of people are on the Eagles side. That's why the money line is swinging towards the Eagles and the bookies are swinging towards the Eagles.
Yeah, it could be. I think the Eagles are an easy team to ride with. I think they're a team that we haven't seen in this capacity since 2018. So, you give it a good 5 years there to marinate. And now we're looking at what we got. What's interesting here is we have a matchup predictor that's according to ESPN's analytics. They combine all the games, all the different chances of different outcomes and whatnot. The predictor favors the Chiefs at 51.8% and puts the Philadelphia Eagles at 48.2. So I mean,
it's I feel like you go any site, it's gonna be margin of difference. Like
yeah, I
every site's
know,
gonna be
and it's
within like 1%.
stupid. It's
One
stupid.
site's gonna be like the Eagles are gonna win by 1%. This site's gonna be like the Chiefs. It's I mean, I guess it's like one of the most even matchups in a Super Bowl. Like it's not a
Yeah.
clear cut favorite.
That is
So
true. Compared to recent years, and surprises are always capable of happening. I think no matter what happens in this Super Bowl, experience will come in clutch, and that's where I think the Chiefs have the edge as far as experience and being there, handling themselves in a certain way on that stage. Andy Reid knows how to conduct this team. Nick Sirianni, I don't know if he knows what he's doing really,
and
because he's never been to a Super Bowl.
you talk about the hunger that Patrick Mahomes has. He wins the Super Bowl. He makes it back, and he got destroyed by Tom Brady. It wasn't even it really he couldn't do anything. He was like he just had the team around him. He was doing everything he could. That's where we're seeing some of these crazy throws from Patrick Mahomes. Like, is this guy human? Just talk about the drive and the hunger to win a Super Bowl, lose it the next year, and then like that's got to light a fire under you. That's got to give you motivation. I need to prove myself. I want to make it back. I want to show them I can win another Super Bowl. I am the next Tom Brady. I mean, that's what people are talking about. So I mean, he needs the results to back that up, and I think he will.
Yeah, I think he will too. You bring up a good point. He got his ass kicked by the GOAT himself, Tom Brady, right?
The
And he
kid
won a Super
versus
Bowl the year
the
before
goat.
that. He won a Super Bowl year before that. So he has that experience not only to win a Super Bowl, but also to lose a Super Bowl. And to really have the entire season amount to an ending where it's not what you wanted as far as an outcome. So he has that experience in the good fashion, in the bad fashion. And I mean, you really can't take it away from Patty Mahomes, what he's capable of, what he's seen in years past. And I mean, you'd like to give the Chiefs the edge here, I think, on paper and just using mindset and using common logic, common sense, that the Chiefs, they have more smarts when it comes to having the ability to win a Super Bowl.
Just just for the sake of it, you put Patrick Mahomes on the Eagles. I think the Eagles win it. I mean, I'm riding with Patrick Mahomes. I think the reason they're going to win is because of Patrick Mahomes. That's who I'm betting for. That's why I think that it's going to go the Chiefs' way. I think it's because of Patrick Mahomes. I think you put Patrick Mahomes on a lot of these teams, and he'll be in the Super Bowl winning it.
Definitely. All right, Super Bowl predictions. Let me hear a score. Let me hear a score from you. A final score. Once the fat lady is singing, what's the final score?
42 Chiefs, 31 Eagles.
42 Chiefs or 45? What'd you say?
Wait, 42?
I don't know what
if
you
my
said.
math. I think 42. I don't know if my math is adding up here though.
No, it is. 42 is great. 42 is right. It's a
Yeah,
it's a it's a multiple of 7.
Yeah, 42
Yeah.
Chiefs, 31 Eagles.
Yeah, we've seen some crazy scores too in Super Bowl. Not only Super Bowls, but just basically football games. So what is mine? What is my final score? So this is gonna be controversial. I've already claimed my allegiance to the Eagles, and it's not even allegiance. It's kind of just I'm trying to be as objective as I can be. Okay, trying to be as objective as I can be. I like the Eagles in this game to win, regardless of everything that was said beforehand. And I totally expect to be wrong in this one, even though I try to never be wrong. I really try my hardest to do that. But I think we're going to have a mid-scoring game. I think we're going to have a score of 35-27 Eagles. And it could really easily, it could come down to a field goal too. So that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to give you. I'm not going to be any more specific than that. We have a couple comments here. Got one from Andre, buddy Andre. The Double Coverage Podcast with John Jay and Musa always delivers. I love that. That's a great tagline. I think I'm going to use that. Copyrights pending. And Dre has a prediction of his own: 39 Eagles, 37 Chiefs. So that's a close game. That's less than a field goal right there, but that almost brings that spread of 1.5 into play. So I don't know. I mean, they're predicting a really close game. They're predicting a nail biter. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Brady, the Patriots versus the Rams. That's, I think, higher score, but that's kind of predicting a pretty dead game, maybe. Like, we've seen both of these offenses put up points. Like, we know these both teams can score and put up the points on the board, so that's why I think I went with such a high score.
Well, I'm telling you this. I mean, it's not like a high score can't happen. It definitely can, but we can't forget the defenses that these teams have, and they have the ability to show up or to not show up every week. They're very inconsistent. So it's
I mean,
it's going to be a good game. Let's just say that it's going to be a good game. May the best team win. May the team that deserves it, the team that handles the pressure, may the team that handles the pressure the best, they will win the game.
And there's one team who has experience with the pressure.
That's exactly right. Got one more comment here from Dobbs. I predict companies will pay too much for ads.
What is it? Probably going to be like the 10 million minimum this year. It was like 6 million a few years ago. So it's going to be like probably like 10 million for an ad.
Oh man, it's a pretty penny, especially with the inflation and in the current state of the economy.
When are we getting our
looking at high prices for ads? Very high prices.
John putting up a Super Bowl ad for us. You know the actual price.
You know, it's nothing. You know, we got a whole minute. Don't worry about it. You'll see it. You'll see it come Sunday. We'll leave it at that, though, guys. Musa, you got any final thoughts for the people out there?
I'm excited. I mean, it's Super Bowl week. It came out of nowhere. We're here. We're live.
Yep,
let's get excited. A few days.
Yeah,
come on.
It snuck up on us, man. And we'll be sure to bring you guys the recap this coming week following the Super Bowl. And throughout the summer, throughout the spring, we'll be bringing you coaching carousel news and recruiting news as well following the draft and leading up to the draft of the 2023 season. So we're looking forward to it. But for now, we'll let you guys go. Make sure to check out all of our social media in the bottom of the podcast. Check out our website for all articles, updates, and IG posts, ginsportsnetwork.com. And we look forward to seeing you guys on here next time. For now, I'm John J. II with the Double Coverage Podcast, accompanied by my partner, Musa Basal. Have a great night and enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll see you guys.